Hello and welcome to another Denbigh video. Now Denbigh town is a great place to have a wander around, but there are many very steep hills, roads, lanes tucked away. Denbigh is certainly not flat, and it's some of them roads and hills and lanes that I'm going to feature today in this video. And I'm starting at the highest point, which is at Denbigh Castle. So let's get going. Well, as you can see, 150 yards from Denbigh Castle is Castle Hill, and you can take it from me, it is quite a hill. Very steep, leading down to Burgess Gate. And some of these roads and hills and things that I'm going to feature in this video may not appear that steep on camera, but you can take it from me that they are very steep. Anyway, this is Castle Hill. Like I said, leading down to Burgess Gate. And this is Burgess Gate. And as you can see, the sign in front of me there is Broomhill Lane, which leads down onto High Street. Another very steep hill. See that? Like I say, that drops down onto Denbigh High Street, so that's Broomhill Lane. There's St Mary's Church. Now this hill I have featured in quite a few of my videos, and the actual name of it is Mount Pleasant, but we don't call it that as locals, as Denbighites, we call it Swine Market. And that used to be the old Rudy's, the old sweet shop and the tobacconist. That used to be the old cinema that's up there. Like I say, that is Mount Pleasant, but we call it Swine Market. And if you want to know why we call it Swine Market, you'll have to look in one of my other videos. And just off Denbigh High Street is Bull Lane. Now then, I'll just show you first the Guildhall Tavern. It's in front of me, and before that became the Guildhall Tavern, that was the Bull Hotel. Anyway, let's have a look at Bull Lane. Like I said earlier, these roads may not appear as steep as they are on camera, but you can take it from me, they are very steep. Now Bull Lane leads back up to the Denbigh Castle. So that's Bull Lane. And just the other side of the Guildhall Tavern is Park Street. You can see there. Now the steepest part of Park Street is the very top, which I'm just coming to now. And there we go. That's the top of Park Street, which is another very steep road. And this is Vale Street. It's the main road that heads right into the centre of Denbigh. Okay, I am now on Abraham's Lane, which is a nice view of the Denbigh Quarry from here. That's the Denbigh Quarry there. Anyway, this is Abraham's Lane, and it drops down onto Beacons Hill. And just heading off from Chapel Place is Water Street. Very short but very steep. And it heads down to Barker's Well Lane. And I mentioned earlier, Abraham's Lane drops down onto Beacons Hill, and this is Beacons Hill I'm on now. And that is the bottom of Abraham's Lane, which joins, like I said, onto Beacons Hill. And just on my left here, leading off Beacons Hill, is Charnel's Well. Short but very steep again, and that heads down onto Barker's Well Lane. I'm now on the lower part of Bryn Teg. Just around the bend there you can see it's another very steep hill. So that's Bryn Teg. I am now in Lenton Pool, and I'm just heading behind the old National School, place I went to when I was a little kid. And this is Maes Myddonwy, which heads up into the council houses. Well, as you can see, I'm back at the castle, so that ends my tour of some of the steepest roads, hills and lanes in Denbigh. So, thanks for joining me, and I'll see you again. Dr. Livingstone, I presume. Henry Morton Stanley statue on the top of High Street, Denbigh in North Wales. And that is the High Street there. And that's the post office. That's the location of the post office, just off the High Street. Now I remember that as a small child. It's always been the post office. But that's not the original location of the post office. I'll show you where it originally was, which is a bit further up the High Street, and get across the road in one piece. So that's the original location, as you can see there, just off the High Street, and I'll show you where it originally was. This is Denbigh High Street, and as I say, I remember it as a small child. It's always been post office, it's always been there. I'll show you now where it originally was, just a short distance away. Lovely smell of the bakers coming out there. So just on my right here now is where the post office was, and it was there. It is now, as you can see, a Chinese restaurant, and it's always sort of been a fish. I remember it as Lino's or Nino's. We used to call it Nino's, but some people call it Lino's. But it was not like a fish and chip shop. As you can see, it's a Chinese restaurant now. But that location there, just off the back row, adjoining the High Street, that is the original position of the Denbigh Post Office. and it moved from that location to the first location I showed you in 1905. It closed here in 1905 and moved location. So that's the original location of Denbigh Post Office on Denbigh High Street. So this is the High Street, Denbigh Town, North Wales. And just in front of me there, which is now, it's the Sense charity shop. That was the Harp Inn. It was an inn, and up until 1927, it closed in 1927. It was originally the Harp Inn. And then it became Irwin's, Greengrocers, and then Tesco. And then it was an off-licence after that, and as you can see now it's a charity store, but it was originally, up until 1927, it was the Harp Inn on the High Street, Denbigh Town, North Wales. So this is the High Street, Denbigh Town, North Wales. And just in front of me there, so you can see the Evan Jones electrical shop. Now that building, or buildings, are called the Druid Buildings. And the reason it's called the Druid Buildings is because originally there was an inn there called the Druid. It was called the Druid Inn. And it opened in 1812 and it closed in 1900. But the buildings that remain today, as you can see, the Evan Jones, are called the Druid Buildings. As I say, it was originally the Druid Inn, Denbigh. And just up there, through that gate there, was stables behind the Druid Inn, and there were stables there for 12 horses. So you could come along the high street or what have you, and put your horse in one of the stables, go in and have a couple of pints, and get back on your horse, and away you go. So yeah, that's originally was the Druid Inn, but it's still, to this day, it's called the Druid Buildings. It's on the High Street, Denbigh Town. Or just off the High Street, I should say. Denbigh Town, North Wales. Okay, this is the top of Vale Street in Denbigh, North Wales. It's one of the main roads coming into Denbigh Town. And just at the top, or near to the top of Vale Street, was the old NatWest. It's closed, it's been closed many years now. And that's the old NatWest building there. But that wasn't the original building. The original building that was there was the Leopard Inn. It was an inn and it was called the Leopard Inn. And it closed in 1850. And then they built what you can see today was the NatWest. So after 1850 they built the NatWest building, and the Leopard Inn moved to the High Street. So that was originally the Leopard Inn, the top of Vale Street. It's the main road leading in to Denbigh Town. And when the Leopard Inn closed in 1850, I'll show you when it opened up. Just on the High Street where I am now. It's just off Vale Street. It's only a couple of 100 yards. And this was its new location, which is there. So that's where the, after 1850, it moved from just the top of Vale Street there. And that's where it opened up on the High Street, which is the Leopard Inn. And in Lenton Pool is the National School, or I should say what was the National School. And this is where I used to go when I was very small. And there's the main entrance there, but that was never used. Just behind this tree here, there was a wooden gate, and that's the way you used to get into the school through there. Be a wooden gate there which leads onto the playground. So this is the National School. And on the corner here used to be the Lollipop Man. You used to see it across the road. And just opposite the National, you can see there is the Church Institute, and that's where we used to go for our school dinners.